You know, one of the biggest myths we cling to, and it's not our fault, by the way, it's baked into almost every love story we've ever been told, is that desire always leads to action. That if someone really craves you, really feels that pull toward you, they'll automatically do whatever it takes to have you. It's a nice idea, right, romantic even, but real life is a lot messier than that. Desire by itself is a feeling. It's an internal experience, and feelings, as powerful as they are, don't always translate into behavior. I want you to really sit with that for a second. Just because someone feels something doesn't mean they're ready or even capable of acting on it. Think about it like this. A person can crave success, deeply crave it, and still sabotage every opportunity that comes their way. A person can desperately want to be healthy, to live a long life, and still reach for cigarettes or junk food every day. Craving is powerful, but it's not a guarantee of action. Action requires something more. It requires courage, it requires clarity, it requires a level of emotional maturity that not everybody has access to in the moment they feel desire. When a man craves you but stays silent, it's often not because the feeling isn't real. It's because the feeling has collided with another equally strong force inside him, fear. Fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of losing himself, fear of stepping into something he doesn't know how to handle. Desire might light the match, but fear can pour water on it before the flame ever catches. And let's be honest, for a lot of people, craving someone touches something primal. It wakes up old wounds, old fears of abandonment, of vulnerability. Being near someone you deeply desire doesn't just feel good, it feels dangerous. It feels risky because if you actually move toward that person, if you reach out, if you show your need, then you're exposed, you're vulnerable, you're handing someone else the power to hurt you. And that's terrifying, especially for someone who's been hurt before. We live in a world that rewards appearances of strength. Especially for men, vulnerability has been, for generations, confused with weakness. Many men have been socialized to believe that admitting you want something or worse, admitting you need someone is to lose an upper hand, to risk losing your dignity. So instead they hide, they compartmentalize. They bury the craving, convincing themselves that silence is safer than sincerity. But here's where it gets deeper. Sometimes the silence isn't even strategic. It's not a calculated move to create mystery or maintain control. It's paralysis. The craving creates an internal storm that they don't have the tools to navigate. They don't know whether to fight it, surrender to it, or run from it, so they default to doing nothing. They stay silent. They retreat into their heads, trying to think their way out of a feeling that was never meant to be rationalized. And yet, and this is important, a man's internal war is not your responsibility to fix. His silence, whatever its cause, isn't a challenge for you to decode, or a test you need to pass by being more patient, more available, or more understanding. His silence is his journey. It's his work to face or not face. You don't win by waiting for him to conquer his fear. You win by being with someone who already has the capacity to act on what he feels. See, we fall into this trap of believing that if we just show up better, if we're more beautiful, more accommodating, more perfect, we can make someone overcome their fear. But fear is personal. It's stitched into the fabric of someone's history, their wounds, their experiences. And it's not yours to reweave. So the next time you're faced with a man who craves you but stays silent, remember this. Craving is a feeling, not a plan. It's chemistry, not commitment. And if someone isn't willing or able to move toward you, to reach out, to communicate, then their craving, however intense, is irrelevant to your life. You deserve more than being someone's silent obsession. You deserve to be chosen in action, not just in thought. At the end of the day, what matters isn't how much someone desires you in the quiet corners of their mind. What matters is who shows up. Who stands in front of you without fear, or at least with the courage to face that fear and says, *, I want you, I choose you, *, Asterisk anything less is noise, and you were never meant to live your life waiting to be someone's almost. Would you like me to continue expanding the next key points with the same tone and style, so you can have a full, seamless speech? Now, building on that, let's talk about something that's a little less innocent. Because sometimes silence isn't fear, it's not paralysis, it's not him wrestling with his own inner demons. Sometimes silence is power, and I know that can be a hard pill to swallow because we love to assume the best about people, especially when we're emotionally invested. But if we're serious about protecting our energy, about choosing partners who can truly meet us, we have to be willing to see things for what they are, not for what we wish they were. Silence, in many cases, becomes a form of control. It becomes a way of holding the upper hand without ever having to put anything at risk. When a man craves you but doesn't speak, doesn't act, he still gets to feel the craving. He still gets the internal stimulation of thinking about you, fantasizing about you. Maybe he even gets your attention, your energy, your pursuit, but he doesn't have to step forward. He doesn't have to risk rejection. He doesn't have to expose himself emotionally. He lets you do all the work while he sits back in emotional comfort. And let's be honest, silence can be incredibly powerful if you're not prepared for it, because silence creates mystery, it creates uncertainty. It makes you wonder, what is he thinking? Does he miss me? Does he want me as much as I want him? And if you're not grounded, that curiosity can pull you deeper into his orbit, making you chase the very person who's withholding himself from you. It's a psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement, the same dynamic that makes gambling so addictive. When a slot machine pays out only occasionally, unpredictably, the brain becomes more obsessed with trying to win. The uncertainty triggers a chemical cocktail in the brain, dopamine, cortisol, that creates obsession, attachment, a compulsion to keep playing. The same thing happens in love when someone gives you just enough to stay interested, but not enough to feel secure. In this case, silence isn't a passive thing, it's active. It's a strategy, conscious or unconscious, to maintain emotional leverage. And the real danger is, it can convince you that the connection is more profound than it actually is. Because when you're the one investing, wondering, hoping, you start to feel like you must care so deeply. Otherwise, why would you be trying this hard? But effort doesn't always mean love. Sometimes effort just means you're stuck trying to solve a puzzle that was designed to keep you stuck. And the truth is, when a man craves you but uses silence to maintain control, it's not romantic. It's not noble. It's not evidence of some soulmate, depth of feeling he's just too scared to express. It's emotional immaturity at best, emotional manipulation at worst. Now, hear me carefully, this doesn't mean that every man who hesitates is a bad person. Not at all, but it does mean you have to pay attention to patterns, not potential. It means asking yourself, is this silence a reflection of internal fear, or a tool he's using to keep me in a state of uncertainty so that he never has to actually step up? Because in healthy relationships, mystery isn't manufactured. In healthy relationships, there's clarity, there's openness, there's a natural unfolding where both people feel safe to express, to reach out, to move closer without needing games or emotional sleight of hand. And I know part of you might be tempted to believe, if I'm just patient enough, if I'm just understanding enough, he'll eventually open up. But ask yourself, is that really the relationship you want? Do you want to be the one who coaxes basic communication out of someone? Or do you want someone who chooses you freely, openly, without reservation? At the end of the day, love isn't supposed to be an emotional riddle you spend your life trying to solve. Real connection doesn't need silence to make itself feel stronger. It thrives in presence. It thrives in transparency. It thrives when two people bring their full selves to the table, not just their fantasies, not just their craving, but their willingness to actually show up. If someone needs to withhold themselves in order to keep you interested, It's a clear sign they don't know how to meet you at the level you deserve. You are not here to chase silence. You are here to meet someone who chooses clarity over control, connection over power. Because love, the real kind, doesn't play hide and seek. It stands in front of you and says, "Here I am, no games, no silence, just me, ready to build something real." If we go even deeper, there's something even more human and more heartbreaking behind a man's silence when he craves you: fear of vulnerability and rejection. And I'm not talking about the kind of fear that's just a passing thought. I'm talking about the deep, hardwired fear that lives in the primitive parts of the brain, the part of us that remembers every time we reached out for connection and were hurt, the part that learned, maybe very early on, that opening yourself up isn't just risky, it's dangerous. When a man stays silent, even while he craves you, it's often because stepping forward would require him to expose himself emotionally. It would mean standing there, unarmored, risking you seeing all the parts of him he's not proud of, all the parts of him he's afraid you'll reject. And the truth is, for many people, the anticipation of rejection feels worse than rejection itself. Because at least when you're rejected, the pain is real, it's tangible, it has a beginning and an end. But when you imagine rejection, it's infinite, it's this endless, unresolved ache. And so, to avoid that feeling, many men, many people simply do nothing. They choose the illusion of safety over the risk of connection. And here's something important to understand. This fear of vulnerability is not just an individual flaw. It's a cultural wound. For decades, centuries, really men have been told that to be emotional is to be weak, that needing someone is unmanly, that admitting desire, especially deep soul-level desire, puts you at a disadvantage. So what do you expect to happen when a man, steeped in that conditioning, feels a powerful craving for a woman? He wants her, he needs her presence, her energy, the peace he feels around her, but moving toward her would mean breaking all the rules he's been taught about what it means to be strong. And many men, even the ones who seem confident, successful, powerful on the surface, don't know how to reconcile those two opposing forces inside them. They crave you, and at the exact same time, they fear what wanting you says about them. So silence becomes the compromise. By staying silent, he can preserve the image of strength while still indulging the feeling internally. He doesn't have to risk looking needy. He doesn't have to risk you seeing through the cracks in his armor. But here's the tragedy: he also doesn't get to experience real connection, because real love, real intimacy requires being seen. It requires letting someone into those very places you're afraid to show. And I want to be very clear here. His fear is understandable, it's human, but just because it's understandable doesn't mean it's your job to fix it. You cannot love someone into courage. You cannot carry them across the threshold of vulnerability if they are not willing to walk there themselves. You could be the safest space in the world. You could be the most understanding, non-judgmental, nurturing presence imaginable, and it still wouldn't matter if he isn't ready to choose vulnerability for himself. Because choosing to be vulnerable isn't something someone else can do for you. It's an act of personal bravery. It's an internal decision. I am willing to risk pain for the chance at something real. Until he makes that decision, all you will get are glimpses. Moments of warmth, moments of craving, flashes where you feel his soul reach out to you, and then silence, withdrawal, confusion, because he is fighting a battle inside himself that no amount of patience or perfection on your part can win for him. And the longer you stay in that dynamic, hoping he'll eventually find his courage, the more you betray your own need for consistency, for presence, for real emotional availability. So I want you to remember this. It's not your responsibility to heal someone's fear of vulnerability. It's not your mission to wait or to hope or to be endlessly patient in the absence of real progress. You deserve someone whose desire for you is matched by their willingness to show up for you. Someone who isn't just battling fear in silence, but who chooses courage because they know that loving you is worth the risk. And if he can't, if he won't, then that's your clarity, not your failure. At the end of the day, a man's silence in the face of his craving isn't about your worth. It's about his relationship with his own fear. And you deserve a love that doesn't make you compete with someone's demons just to be chosen. Because the right person doesn't let fear dictate their story with you. They choose to write a new one with you, not despite you, with openness, with courage, and with a heart brave enough to say, "I'm scared, but you're worth it." There's another layer to all this that we have to talk about, and it's one most people completely overlook. Because sometimes a man's silence isn't just about fear, it's not just about control, it's about conflict. A deep, unresolved inner conflict that pulls him in two opposing directions at once. When a man craves you but stays silent, what you're often seeing is a battle between two powerful but competing forces inside him, the desire for connection and the desire for freedom, and it's important you realize it's not that he doesn't feel real attraction. It's not that he doesn't feel that magnetic pull toward you. In fact, the stronger the craving, the more intense the conflict can become. Because moving toward you would mean surrendering something he also deeply values. Maybe it's his independence, his emotional safety, his identity as a lone wolf, or simply the life he knows and feels comfortable in. We all carry opposing needs inside us, the need for closeness and the need for autonomy, the need to be loved and the need to protect ourselves. And when these needs clash, when the heart wants one thing and the mind warns against it, what we often experience on the outside is mixed signals. One moment he's warm, attentive, fully present. The next he's withdrawn, distant, unresponsive. One moment he's making plans for the future, talking about everything he feels when he's around you. The next, he disappears without explanation, leaving you wondering if you imagined the whole thing. And if you don't understand what's happening, it's incredibly easy to internalize that inconsistency, to make it about you. You start thinking, maybe I did something wrong, maybe I was too much, maybe I wasn't enough. But the truth is, his inconsistency isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his unresolved internal conflict. Psychologists talk about approach avoidance conflict. It's when something simultaneously attracts and repels us. We crave it, but we also fear it. And the closer we get to it, the stronger both feelings become. In relationships, this shows up when someone feels genuinely drawn to you, but getting closer triggers all their fears. Fear of losing themselves, fear of being hurt, fear of failing you, fear of not being good enough. So instead of moving forward consistently, they they step in, then pull back. They say just enough to keep the connection alive, but not enough to give you certainty. And here's the critical thing you need to understand. Their conflict doesn't resolve itself just because they miss you. It doesn't go away just because you're patient or loving or understanding. Inner conflict only resolves when a person becomes conscious of it and then chooses which side they're willing to stand on. Otherwise, they stay stuck, and if you stay too long, you get stuck with them. And maybe the most dangerous part of all is that during those good moments, those moments when he's fully present, it feels so real. It feels like proof that he's capable of choosing you if only he could get past whatever's holding him back. And that hope can trap you for months, even years, because you've seen glimpses of the man he could be if he just got out of his own way. But glimpses are not consistency. Potential is not commitment. You cannot build a relationship on moments. You cannot build a life with someone who is still negotiating internally whether they even want to fully show up. You deserve more than someone's half-hearted presence. You deserve more than being the temporary solution to someone's internal tug-of-war. The right person, the person who is ready for real connection, doesn't leave you guessing. They don't allow their fear to create confusion. They recognize their own conflict, and they make the conscious, courageous decision to choose you over their fear every day, not just when it's convenient. Not just when the craving becomes too loud to ignore, because real love requires clarity. It requires choosing even when it feels scary, especially when it feels scary. And if someone can't or won't make that choice, you have to be brave enough to make yours. Because waiting around for someone to stop being conflicted isn't loyalty, it's self-abandonment, and you were never meant to betray yourself for the sake of someone else's unresolved battle. The love you deserve isn't found in someone's moments of certainty. It's found in their consistent commitment, their willingness to stand with you through their own fears, through their own doubts, without making you pay the price for battles you never caused. So when you feel caught in someone's mixed signals, when you're dancing between the warmth of their craving and the coldness of their silence, I want you to remember this. Real love doesn't feel like confusion. Real love feels like clarity, and you are not here to wait around for someone to make up their mind about you. You are here to meet the person who already knows.